Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I know you have a lot of options today in terms of topics, so we're going to make this worth your while. I really appreciate you joining. And I'll start off by saying that I'm not reading my script. We live in a really special sports time in Los Angeles. My name is Bill Sanders, by the way. In addition to my work with athletes, I also am a part-time professor here at UCLA. I have a sports marketing class, and my students are here. Thank you for coming. I appreciate that very much. And in class, we'll spend the whole term talking about what a magic time it is in Los Angeles with the new sports venues coming online, with SoFi and Intuit coming soon, with the LAFC venue, and certainly with Crypto.com Arena going through some major renovations. So we're spoiled. We live in my opinion, arguably the best place in the world if you're a fan of live sports. But at the same time, it presents some challenges to not only compete with all the choices that we have here in Southern California, but also compete with other venues that are also state-of-the-art. So today we're going to talk about fans and keeping fans engaged and coming to venues, especially as it relates to fan experience. We'll talk a little bit about tech. We'll talk a little bit about other amenities and benefits and improvements in some of these new venues. So we'll start off with Matt Lawler, the Senior Director of Digital Media from ADG. Please welcome Matt. And then we have Luke Wong, the General Manager of the Los Angeles 5G Lab from Verizon. And lastly, he brought Peach too. And then lastly, we have Edward Andrews, the Director of Premium Sales from the LA Clippers. So nice to have you all here. And I'm gonna start off by asking each of you one or two questions, more or less the same, which is tell us a little bit about what your role is at your organization and what you're excited about in the coming months as far as the fan experience goes. So let's go on the far end and start with you, Edward.
Great to be here. Thank you. So my role, Director of Premium Sales, specifically for the Intuit Dome, the Clippers' new venue that's opening in Inglewood in less than a year. So you might have seen construction if you've flown in or out of LAX, driven by, obviously. But yeah, my job is at the highest level, the highest value ticketing, premium, suites, sport sides. We touch it all. And so our job is being the newest venue in LA, obviously making sure that we are as competitive, or if not the most competitive, in terms of our offerings and what we're able to provide to the market, to the corporate community, and fans, right, at the end of the day. So, yeah, most excited, I would say, to your point, Bill, like just the evolution of this sports entertainment in the city. I used to work at Crypto and ADG before coming over here, and seeing there, being familiar with it and knowing it, and prior to coming to AEG, I helped open the Sacramento Kings new arena up in NorCal, the Golden One Center, and so seeing what that new venue did for the Sacramento community, for just the NBA fans, it really is special. So I think, obviously as we look towards Olympics, look towards, future events and college football playoffs, you name it, there's a lot to be excited about.
So we're looking at a $2 billion plus. I assume there's a plus in there somewhere.
No comment.
According to the website, it says Intuit Dome will deliver an innovative fan experience that redefines live events and benefits local community in unprecedented ways. So how about, tell us, how will it redefine live events?
So when you do have a new venue and new facility, and obviously there's a plethora of folks involved beyond just myself, what the overarching theme, and our owner, Mr. Steve Ballmer, very focused on the fan experience, right? And one of the biggest fans probably in the NBA, you always see him on TV sweating through his polos when he's at games courtside. And so he is envisioning it of like that the building is built for every single person that walks in. Not every venue can say that, right? And so every single person, the referees, do the referees have what they need? The visiting team, some people, obviously, this is kind of a hot topic, like, you want to make it tough for the visiting team. No, we're thinking about it as a recruiting tool for free agents, college athletes, etc. And so also the student that's in the 300 level in the last row of the building. And so how do you create kind of a customized experience for each of them where they walk into the building, you walk into the building, it feels like it's designed for them. And so obviously a lot has gone into beyond just like the friction-free, a big statement of the building and a lot of media attention is the number of restrooms is I can get from the restroom something to eat back to my seat all within a 30-second timeout. And so we've run models on like, how do we accomplish this? It's a strong feat, but it's like, we don't want you missing the experience and the action on the court or the concert or show or song or whatever might be happening on the floor. And so that I would say is the overarching theme, and then obviously beyond that, there's a lot more that goes into how we're going to activate and make it happen.
Is the preview center still open?
It is.
Anybody that hasn't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's an extraordinary experience. I also went to see the SoFi Preview Center before it actually opened, and it is really special. I don't know if it's open to everybody or how you need to get in there, but tell us that.
Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about that. So a lot of times these new buildings, new facilities, similar to in Sacramento, we built one without nearly the budget that we had for this one. But 14,000 square feet, it's in our corporate offices, right at the corner of 12th and Flower downtown, a couple blocks from crypto. And so the idea is that we're able to bring potential partners down, potential suite owners, season ticket members, the community, et cetera, to kind of see the vision in the preview. And so basically it's this immersive space where we've got a model of the venue. We've got a lot of the advanced tech that we're going to be building into the venue to kind of talk about that. We've got 3 different suite products that we're going to offer, all built to scale that are anywhere between 400 to 600 square feet in terms of just the suites themselves. And so trying to envision, while we have this runway, we opened our preview center 3 years ago, 2 or less than 3 years, 2, but where you're able to bring folks down to feel that experience before the building actually opens. Because right now it's a lot of concrete. We're slowly pivoting to bring folks through for our back construction site tours now, but to get in, obviously I'm here, so flag me down and we can set up a time to head you through. But we want to bring the market through, the community through, and kind of see what's happening when we're bringing to Inglewood.
Well, let's go from the new venue to the first venue. And I just took a couple of notes from the AEG website, which is worth mentioning. AEG bills itself as the world leader in sports and live entertainment. 160 million guests attend events at AEG venues worldwide at over 22,000 events in 350 venues. AEG is a true trendsetter as well. As I alluded to, they are the creator, in my opinion, of the first modern sports and entertainment district, LA Live. As part of my job, I get to travel an awful lot. One of my clients plays for the Atlanta Braves. I've been to the Battery, which is an extraordinary venue if you've been there. But you can't help but think about LA Live when you go there because it really was the first. And so, Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit about the renovations that are coming up and underway at Crypto?
Yeah, we're a little different in that we already have existing space, right? And so it's not a giant financial decision to build something new. We're trying to innovate something that has existed not forever, 20 years, 25 years almost. And so in the process of doing that, we're phasing it over 3 years. The first phase of that renovation was cosmetic internally in the premium levels, just changing paint, carpet, making the suites look a little bit better for our suite holders, who we were going to ask to stick with us as the Clippers leave and as we re-sign leases with the Lakers, allowing them to bet on us and let them know that we're making changes for them. The second iteration of that has been some new inventory to invite fans to have a different experience, but also level CryptoCom Arena to be what a lot of other buildings are building into a dome. SoFi have built bunkers, as we call them, in venues, but they're effectively sunken in suites on the floor. It's an unparalleled viewing experience. T-Mobile Arena, which is co-owned by us and MGM in Las Vegas, has similar seating, but this idea that you can have your own suite in the midst of the magic is a developing trend, and we wanted to make sure we match that. And then the third phase of this, which I think is the most broad-reaching and one that I'm personally most excited about. We are looking to bridge Chick Hearn Way, which for all of you that know our space, there's a street that goes in between LA Live and CryptoCom Arena and Peacock Theater. We're going to pour concrete to level the street and then create a throughway that will be closed off to cars. It will dramatically change how you experience coming and going. It's a small thing, but you'd be surprised how many people trip on that curb coming out of the game at night. And the other piece to this last phase of renovation is at the 300 level, we are breaking down a number of walls to allow for collaboration and inclusion of the environment that we play in, which is Los Angeles. There are all these great indoor-outdoor spaces to go and see sports, and we want CryptoCom Arena to look like one of those. And so the 300 level is going to have an indoor-outdoor space where you can see the game while sitting effectively outside, having a drink, and it's going to be really dope.
And as the Senior Director of Digital Media, are there some new bells and whistles that you get to play with? And as part of that, why don't you tell everybody a little bit more about your day-to-day responsibilities?
Yeah, so it's important for me to caveat that in my role, and the reason I don't have a sharing section today is because thank you, Jim, appreciate it, is because my whole team, for the most part, is at Power Trip in Coachella Valley. If you're a fan of rock, there's still some tickets left. AC/DC, Metallica, Tool. It's going to be an awesome weekend for people that love that. We not only work on sports and venues, but also the music and ticketing piece of the business. And so my job is to think about technology, how technology impacts our partners. I was in the first conversation with Crypto.com to bring them on to name Staples Center then at the time. I work with our partners at Microsoft, maybe not as much as Edward does, but still really closely to try to move things to the cloud, and I'm pretty sure what we'll get to is the thing we're really headed towards is connectivity. And I think that when you ask me what I'm most excited about, it's about delivering on customer expectations. Coming out of the pandemic, everyone expects a different experience because of what we saw technology do to try and connect us at a time when we couldn't be physically present. We learned that physical presence matters to us more than digital connectivity. I don't think anyone in this room would challenge me on that, but the digital connectivity enhances that. And so now there's a new game in play, which is how do we take the tools that are being given to us to build additive experiences that make our in-person experience even better. And so I'm interested in the personalization that's going on, making a building feel like it's for you, for everyone that walks in the building, which includes talent, which includes the producers, the people behind the scenes, which includes the security, right, and the people that are operating the building. But then also, how does it feel like the entire building is working together to give those people a great experience?
Last one for you, and then I'll come over to you, Luke. So you've got, what was that number, or is it 350 venues worldwide?
Yeah.
Are you involved in one way or another in a lot of those? Is there a lot of sharing of information and best practices and connectivity between the venues?
Yes and no. We're not Walmart, and I think this is true of any entity that has multiple retail locations, physical locations. As much as you'd like every location to act and feel the same, they're beholden to the market that they're in and the culture that they are a part of, right? And so when you start talking about trying to run Crypto.com Arena the same way as the O2 in London, forget it, right? But they're both owned properties, and so we do share insights all the time about what works for a partner, what works for an artist, what works for a fan, so that we can try and level and enable what's worked in London to also work in Los Angeles, or to take something that's worked in Los Angeles and make it work in London. 350 also includes the sister company ASM, which just got purchased by Legends. So eventually that number is going to go down, probably really soon. But there are still a number of venues that we operate for our music business where, as best we can, we try to standardize the operation because we found success with those standards.
And Luke, since we're talking about connectivity, tell us a little bit about Innovation Labs, in particular as it relates to sports.
Yes, so my name is Luke Wang. I head up the 5G Innovation Lab in Los Angeles for Verizon. before I kind of get into the spiel about what we do, I just want to get a quick survey. How many people here have heard of 5G? Awesome. Okay, so everyone's good awareness. How many people actually know what they need 5G for? Raise your hand. That's good. Okay, so that's our lab's job, is really kind of suss out those use cases and kind of help build that awareness both on the consumer side and on the enterprise side of what is 5G actually used for. The thing with 5G, it launched, really just shortly before the pandemic, and what happened, like we had 2 years essentially of lockdown and people not being able to go into the places where Verizon deployed 5G networks into, and going into last year, and especially coming into this year with everyone kind of returning back into those mode of normal again, I think there's a question as to what is it that 5G really means for them. And so what our lab is for is to kind of help build those use cases, both in the three verticals we kind of focus in on, because we're in Los Angeles, are content and media production and broadcast, industrial use cases, manufacturing, warehousing, and then lastly, sports and venue locations. And so we've kind of divided our lab up into these three different locations where we've got these sandboxes, I would call them, or replicas, if you will, of a theater space, a sports bar, a cashierless express shop, all these different, I would say, environments that we can actually deploy some of these applications and solutions on top of, and then run them over a 5G network that can take advantage of the lower latency, the faster speeds, the higher throughput, and see if that application can work better or just work phenomenally well over our 5G network. So at a high level, that's kind of what we're there for.
And when you guys, when you think about the kinds of improvements that you want to make for a fan attending a venue, can you talk a little bit about some of the recent improvements and then some of the things perhaps that are coming that will change our experience as fans in the next few years?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's something we're working on daily at the lab is, finding out what are those solutions that are going to make the fan experience better. That's one thing I heard from both sides is everyone is focused on improving that experience for fans, especially with the new expectations coming out of the pandemic. One of the solutions that we have in our lab is the cashierless express shop. So if anyone's been to LAX or been to Crypto Arena, you've seen some of those stores where there's not a single cashier there. You just kind of grab and go, maybe store a credit card and then just walk out. So a lot of these types of setups, they're powered by high-speed cameras, they're powered by weight sensors. There's a lot of data being generated that allows you to be able to make that purchase without having to, again, go up to a cash register or talk to someone and be able to and check out. So these are the types of tools, technologies where we see connectivity playing a major role in being able to support and enable these applications that otherwise people wouldn't be thinking about. Another example might be, this is less so for the fan, but more so for the venue owner. There's a tool called Crowd Analytics. And so you think about, how many people are walking into a stadium on a game day. So SoFi probably holds up to 60, 70,000 people. That's a massive number of people that if you are the venue owner and you want to understand where are there choke points, where are there people kind of causing congestion, maybe at a bathroom line, maybe at a concession stand, apparel store, you want to understand how the flow of traffic is happening in real time. We've got tools that leverage new technologies such as LiDAR sensors and radar that will allow you to be able to connect those tools together and then get a real-time flow of traffic around the entire venue. And that, for you as the venue owner, becomes really valuable data so that you can understand how to mobilize your different stations across places that make it a little bit more convenient for people.
And Matt and Edward, same question to both of you. Recent innovations at your facilities, obviously you've got new one coming online, but you also have experience at Crypto. Recent innovations and upcoming innovations, I guess, especially with Intuit that fans are going to be excited about.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, the excitement at Intuit, probably our Halo ribbon board. So, and that's just going to amplify the experience beyond what you've seen at any other NBA venue, because it's going to be the first of its kind. And so, similar to SoFi, if you've been to SoFi, they have that Halo ribbon video board. And the reason most venues don't have it is because it's like you've got to build it as the building's going up. You can't put it into an older venue just due to cost and everything. But what that's going to do, because it's two-sided, no matter what seat you're in the building, you're going to be able to be much more immersed in that experience. And I think just from when you're thinking through like the player introductions or an advanced stat or like it sounds simple, but like the hat shuffle in, intermission promo, and like how much more of a show you're going to get with that in our board. And then taking outside of basketball for the concert. So if I'm an artist and what they can do to really amplify kind of their experience. I went to the Taylor Swift show at SoFi and had a great time, and she used the Halo board. I mean, it was like, that was the first time I had seen that and gotten to see it. And there's, some rumors Beyonce didn't, and so there's a little bit of media around that. But either way, it's just like, and I don't even think she did it, but it didn't fully feel like she did it. So I feel like over time, what artists will be able to do to use our, what we're calling our Halo scoreboard, that's probably the thing that I'm most excited about.
Yeah, I think still a little bit of my thunder. We just walk out store inside of the building, which has been really great. I've seen a lot of adoption. We can't build as many giant fancy 4K screens as new buildings can, but we did put 2 new hustle boards up for a stats experience inside of crypto.com. If you were really paying attention between last season, 2 seasons ago, and this last season, you would have seen new giant screens go up for that kind of activity. But then also, what I like inside of SoFi, which just ran Princess mid-Carnival Cruises, they're doing AR broadcast technology with Snap, where you're taking a long shot of the playing field, adding content layers over it, and then immersing the fan as best you can in a new experience. It looks like the ocean, it looks like a cruise. There's an island that pops up, but all of it drives you to the hat race or whatever. We're doing a weight line pilot. We're also working with a company called the Famous Group. And this is the stuff that I really get excited about. The Famous Group built a selfie cam execution. So has anyone seen the Jacoby and Myers thing in Dodger Stadium? They're like, give me $500 if you scan a QR code and then try to get yourself on the Jumbotron. It's that moment in the game where everyone wants to be on the Jumbotron. Like every one of us has been like, oh, hey, there I am. Or not, or you've avoided it. But like some people dance crazy to do it, and most people dance crazy to do it. That's a very important moment for capturing engagement, and what they figured out is we can also give the venue, the team, and partners access to that and access to that person in a way that feels better, because now I'm holding my chance in my hand, and by scanning this, I'm giving myself a better chance to be on there. And by the way, that QR scan automatically lets us redirect you to a website, and money for the partner, money for everybody. That's the stuff I get excited about.
I'm going to pause for a second to see if we have any questions yet, because we will run out of time before we know. Anybody? Not yet? Okay. So my perspective is always, I'm a marketer, so I always think about what's the marketing perspective. And I would imagine that when it comes to venue improvements, that you're both looking at competitive venues and what they're doing, not just in the same city, but especially in your case, you guys are all over the world. But you're also getting feedback from fans on what frustrates them, whether it's traffic or lines or things like that. So any thoughts on are you listening to both of those things simultaneously? How much are you paying attention to the other venues, and how much are you focusing on what fans are frustrated by?
Yeah, I mean, the answer is yes. We listen as much as we can, and we look at what other people are doing. We try to not copy, but it's really about what works. If somebody deploys some tech and it really drives the fan experience, you'll see that tech get adopted. Sometimes people are excited to be the first mover. We're very interested in being a successful quick follower. We want to see someone else do it to success and know that it's going to work for us before we put a bunch of money down, just for a number of reasons. But it's both technology and physical improvements, which I think is important because there are multiple revenue streams, right? You have the ticketed consumer, but also F&B, also merch, but also long-term data loyalty plays. So this idea of connecting consumers, allowing them more digital touch points, it's all data capture. Data has value now as a currency in the marketplace in a very real way. So how do you take all of that and identify what it is and isn't working? We look at the data signals more than a fan feed, like a stated fan feedback. because a lot of times I'll tell you something that I'm frustrated about, but really my behavior shows you that I'm not.
Yeah, I would say with us, prior to going on sale, we did a lot of kind of focus feedback groups with season ticket members, with just corporate leaders in the community, and like hearing them out, right? Because it's like, to your point, Bill, like there's a lot of options. There's a lot of sports and entertainment options that is taking away the Soho House membership they might have, the whatever other country club memberships they might have that, I would call more sports adjacent or entertainment adjacent. And so really trying to get a thing of like, what do they want? And so where we landed, and one of the things we implemented was like fewer suites, because we found the corporate community, like they wanted more impactful. They wanted something, people don't love watching concerts from suites. Shocker, I don't really either. And so it's like, how do we create something that doesn't feel like a suite for a concert, or to the Matt's point, like food and beverage, parking, like all those other benefits that come with memberships and ownership programs. And you want to, show your partners too, like you're listening to them. Hey, we met back in, let's say 2020, 2021, prior to going on sale in 2022. This is, we built fewer suites as a reason for that. So I would say that was a big one for us on the premium side.
So you guys really talk about the in-arena experience, and I really think there's been a lot of improvements with the grab and go and the 5G connectivity. But how much do you guys work with the city of Los Angeles? Like, once I'm in crypto.com, it's pretty easy. But getting to crypto.com to the west side of LA for a 7 o'clock game really sucks. And it sucks going back home. So how much, synergy is there between the two parties?
Yeah. I'll take this. I won't talk on crypto.com. We, the Clippers and Mr. Ballmer, we're putting a pretty significant investment into the infrastructure of traffic flow, because that's one of the biggest things and feedback that we got also is SoFi is a pain to get in and out of. And so what we're working with City of Inglewood for like traffic light synchronizations. We're widening certain lanes. We're going to have this controlled kind of tower unit that's going to be able to pinpoint, all right, it's getting heavy, whatever, off the 405, but the 105's cleaner. Like, we're going to start flowing the lights to make it easier to get in and out of. So more to come, at least with our building.
And I would just add to that, like, there's a place where the sports business stops and the city government starts, right? And we can only do so much to change LA's infrastructure. So it's really about partnering. And you'll notice pretty much every LA team has a partnership with Metro, has a partnership with DWP, has a partnership with some sort of infrastructure entity to try and anticipate and get ahead of what we know is already a tough commute, or a challenge to get from A to B across the city, even if we weren't involved.
I'm going to ask one last question, trying to keep us on time. And let's start with you, Luke. 2028 is around the corner. We have an Olympics coming. It's one of these opportunities for venues like crypto and Intuit that typically compete. I imagine you will be involved in the Olympics in one way or another. So let's just talk a little bit about how you prepare for a global event like that. But let's start with you.
Yeah, so I think, for us, being able to bring the proper connectivity to all these locations is, I think, the biggest priority. So I'll give you an example. This year, we did a partnership with we've been partners with the NFL for a long time, but this is the first year that we've deployed private wireless networks to all 30 NFL stadiums, and been able to run different applications on top of that, such as coach-to-coach communication. So this year, instead of using UHF radios that normally coaches would use for walkie-talkie access, all their coach-to-coach headsets will be powered by Verizon's wireless network. And these are the kinds of sort of early-stage use cases that allow us to bring the necessary infrastructure into those locations, and then work with the leagues, work with the teams, work with the whoever it is to help them understand the benefits and why that infrastructure is necessary. So as we look towards 2028, it's 4 or 5 years away. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done on these things. We'd love for them to move faster. They tend to move at their own pace. But being able to, I think, show the value and help consumers understand the value of it. 'Cause I think a lot of stuff we do ends up being B2B2C in a way. We work with the venues, work with the stadiums. We obviously have a massive consumer business too. When it comes to specifically venue use cases, we're not necessarily the ones touching the consumer. It's always through working with partners on that side. So that's how I think continuing to kind of show the value, help people understand, hey, if you want things to be faster, cheaper, more efficient, more flexible, more streamlined, more effective, and in order to do that, you need a proper infrastructure with connectivity as the baseline of that foundation. Continuing to harp on that understanding is I think where we're trying to focus on.
And if I'm not mistaken, the IFC has requirements for connectivity for the games. So in some places we're investing because we have to, because the Olympics have a certain standard. And so that's exciting to see, right, that they hold everything to a certain standard of engagement. But in those places, right, it's about anticipating needs and connecting things so you can.
And will you be involved because your stadiums are part of the games?
Yeah, I mean, Self-Plex, we're hosting more events, more Olympic events than any other venues in the city. So between Peacock Theater and Crypto.com Arena, we'll have weightlifting, basketball, gymnastics, a bunch of stuff. It's really exciting for us. But I think more than anything, we're excited with the new properties coming on board because it just raises the bar, right? And the entire market is getting a gift of really engaged people trying to build spaces and places for the best fan engagement in the world. And it's a treat to live in LA at this time. March Madness in March, World Cup 2 years later, Olympics 2 years after that. And there's going to be a ton of stuff in between. It's going to be real exciting. I expect at least one NBA championship and one NFL championship. Probably another MLS championship. Praying on an NHL, Stanley Cup. And that's going to affect at least one of us on this panel, so that's great.
And as a longtime basketball fan, I really truly hope the Clippers and the Lakers become.
Don't count. I thought you were. If you had said just Clippers, I was going to say don't count.
No. I absolutely. I worked at basketball. I had to be agnostic for a lot of years, root for whatever team the player plays on. But like for the sake of the city, it would be tremendous. The Dodgers and the Angels are never going to be a real rival until they play each other more regularly. And I think for you guys to be possibly great. Is Intuit going to be involved in the Olympics?
Yeah, we'll be involved as well. Not as many events as Matt said, just because our venue is just the one main one, but we'll be right there with it.
And my last question is: any of you been to the Sphere? And what are you hearing? Whether you have or haven't, what's unique other than the shape itself? What kind of experience are you hearing people are having there?
I haven't tell. I saw it before the U2 concert. Friend lead sales there, and all of the headlines are true. Like, we've never seen anything like this. This idea of immersion within a static space, that screen on the inside is as compelling as the one on the outside. $500,000, $600,000 for a day for advertising seems like a bit of a heavy lift, but I think people will pay it because it's Vegas and you can see that thing from the plane, like it's crazy. But they built something really compelling. It's just going to be a business conversation as to whether or not they can book it, sell tickets at the prices that they need to cover the cost of building.
No, he nailed it. I haven't been there, but I've heard the same thing, that booking is going to be an interesting challenge. So I guess I asked the question maybe a year.
Luke, is that a Verizon building?
It's not a Verizon building to my knowledge. I'm sure we have presence there. We have presence in pretty much all major venues. So just varying degrees. Yeah.
Well, I think if you add that to the loop and even the experience at Dodger Stadium now, the renovations they put in center field, it's not necessarily about the age of the building, it's about the experience. And I really do think we're blessed. I asked a friend at Dodger Stadium yesterday about how the entrance, the new center field plaza is going. They have one enormous challenge that you guys don't have, which is they cannot open those gates a minute earlier because of the neighborhood. So no matter what they build there, inspiring people to come earlier isn't going to necessarily make that that in and out problem any better. But I cannot wait to see Intuit. I can't wait to see crypto when it's revised. I'm grateful to you and Verizon for making the fan experience in these venues even better. I'll be checking out my first football game at SoFi soon. I've lived here my whole life. It's never been a better time to be a sports fan because we have great franchises, great venues, and a really passionate fan base. So I think we're going to wrap it up. Thank you all for your time today. Thanks for joining us.